Baseball is unfair. The Dodgers have too good of an advantage, and them signing Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto is ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way. The overall narrative of baseball being an unfair game financially has only gained steam because of this, with the Dodgers being the new face of it. The 2023-2024 baseball offseason, despite being mostly boring, has also had the most exciting moments in offseason history, when Shohei Ohtani signed his historic contract with the Dodgers, which was then followed with young and expected big league superstar Yoshinobu Yamamoto to another massive contract that equates those two players alone to over $1.1 billion worth of contracts. That, combined with the other contracts the Dodgers have given out and the way some of those contracts have been structured with the deferrals, most notably Ohtani's wildly unique one where he'll only be making $2 million each year from the Dodgers and won't start getting the rest of the $680 million that will be left until after the contract is over. All of this has sparked talk that this is unfair, that baseball continues to have too much disparity, too much of a difference between teams who spend a lot and teams who don't spend a lot. The idea is that the Dodgers have so much money and are able to get virtually anyone they want, while other teams either can't or choose not to because their owners are being cheap. And although owners being cheap and not prioritizing the franchise that they own is certainly an issue, that's not the only factor here. Because of the Dodgers' historic offseason, fans of other teams have started to get really angry at their own teams for not landing some of the big guys, contributing to the overall narrative that baseball is unfair, that owners are cheap and they should simply spend more money and be like the Dodgers. In a perfect and more simple world, that would be the case. Unfortunately, it's not that simple or perfect. And most of these teams who don't want to pay up for a guy like Yamamoto, or who at least aren't willing to be the highest bidder, are actually valid in doing so. Why? Because it would be stupid for most teams to spend like the Dodgers. Before I get any further, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Over 78% of my watch time is from people who aren't subscribed, so hit that button along with the bell for post notifications. Thank you. Blake Snell is a free agent. If you told every baseball fan and baseball executive at the end of last season that it would take him this long to get a contract from someone, most of them would have been shocked, including me. I probably wouldn't have believed it. Yet here we are, where Snell sits alongside Cody Bellinger as another highly anticipated free agent taking a long time to find a home. And honestly, it makes so much sense. In a recent tweet by Ben Verlander, where he was responding to former longtime big leaguer Mike Cameron questioning the fact that Tim Anderson hasn't found a team yet, Verlander responded by blaming the owners, saying that it's the owners who are driving down the market in order to not pay the players what they deserve, bringing up Snell and Bellinger along with Jordan Montgomery, JD Martinez, and Jorge Soler as examples. Why not blame the players? There's a reason, a valid reason, why someone like Blake Snell hasn't signed yet. And it's not for some complicated rocket scientist analytical reason. Just look at the facts. It's right in front of you. Yes, he's won 2 Cy Young Awards and literally just won his second, so it's crazy on the surface to say Snell isn't a good long-term investment. But he's also wildly inconsistent, doesn't have the best track record of racking up innings or going deep into games, and walked the house last year even though he won the Cy Young Award, leading all of baseball with walks. I don't think it's cheap at all to refuse to pay that guy $270 million and commit to him for 9 years. If you say that's cheap, you're saying the word wrong. It's pronounced smart. It's been reported that Snell has only gotten one contract offer. It was from the Yankees for $150 million over 6 years, one he of course turned down. Cody Bellinger reportedly hasn't even gotten a single contract offer, but Cody Bellinger is also asking for way over $200 million. One that shocks me is the report that JD Martinez hasn't gotten a single former contract offer either, which also kind of makes sense but still kind of weird. JD is coming off a really good, dare I say great 2023 season, and he's not going to be a long commitment to whoever signs him, but he also doesn't play defense. I mean, he could, theoretically, put on a glove and have a crack at it, but by that point, you might as well just only have 2 outfielders. JD does one thing remotely productive in the outfield, like fielding a bloop single. That's a miracle. Okay, yes, I'm being very mean, but the point is pretty clear. If you sign JD Martinez, even if just for 1 year, he has to be your designated hitter. And even though every team in baseball can have a designated hitter instead of just half the league like it used to be, there's still not many teams who have a roster that JD fits in, considering his lack of versatility. But that's beside the point. The point is that Ben Verlander's narrative is just inaccurate. Players aren't getting paid what they deserve because they're asking for more than they deserve. Blake Snell, who's going to be in his age 31 season, was offered $25 million a year for 6 years from the Yankees. I would argue even that is potentially an overpay, but it's definitely more reasonable than $30 million a year for 3 extra years. Cody Bellinger won the MVP in 2019, fell off the face of the planet for 3 years, came back to have a much better 2023 season, but he also had a contact rate much less impressive than his MVP season, meaning he isn't hitting the ball nearly as hard. Is that someone you want to commit to for 7, 8, or 9 years? years and all that money? Now, I want to make something clear. This isn't being so-called pro-owner. This isn't me saying the owners are 100% in the right and no blame should fall on them. The A's owner, John Fisher, he's terrible and he's been nothing but a terrible and cheap owner. Jerry Reinsdorf, someone who looks at the White Sox as a hobby, made White Sox history for a contract signing a year ago when he signed Andrew Benintendi for $75 million over 5 years. Yes, that's seriously the most expensive contract ever for that franchise. So yes, there are genuinely cheap owners and owners who just don't truly care about the team and its fans. And it's a shame, but there are also a ton of other teams and owners who are reluctant to spend right now, but they don't deserve to be trashed for it. The Boston Red Sox and their ownership group, led by John Henry, have become a massive target this offseason by their own fan base. Red Sox fans are honestly disgusted with Henry and believe he isn't prioritizing the Red Sox as much now as he used to, and there's definitely some validity to that. Henry and the franchise overall have botched some things over the last several years, including Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts, two players who should still be in Boston for the rest of their careers. I'm not fully defending John Henry, and I don't think he's as serious about the Red Sox as he used to be, but I also don't think he or the Red Sox as a team are necessarily wrong for not spending this offseason. Red Sox fans this offseason are furious that they didn't get Yamamoto. Ohtani is obviously a big ask for anyone, but they didn't seem remotely close to signing him. They haven't been really close to signing any premier free agent, and the fans are beyond angry. But here's the deal. It would be stupid to sign those guys. The Dodgers have been winning since 2013. Every year they've been winning and in contention for a World Series title. Why is that? Well, because they do everything well. They scout, draft, trade, and develop well. Forget the spending. They have built an incredibly strong system that consistently pumps out productive players. Clayton Kershaw, Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, Walker Buehler, to name the homegrown guys who were all-stars at least at one point with the team. And then you have the guys nobody cared about who the Dodgers brought in and helped make into all-star caliber players. Kenley Jansen was a terrible hitting catcher and someone literally nobody knew about who the Dodgers turned into one of the greatest closers of all time. The Mets told Justin Turner that nobody liked him, not even his own mother. The Dodgers bring him across the country and he's been legitimately one of the best hitters in baseball since. Chris Taylor was awful with the Mariners, who wanted to get rid of him, so they did, trading him to the Dodgers, where he has been a productive utility player since. Max Muncy was abysmal in Oakland and thrown to the curb. Dodgers pick him up and he's also legitimately been one of the best hitters in baseball since. Jason Hayward was looked at as a washed up loser by the Cubs. They actually told him his kids hate him. The Dodgers bring him aboard and he has one of the best seasons of his career. Hayward hadn't had an OPS over 800 in a full season since 2012. In 2023 he hit to an OPS over 800. That is why the Dodgers have been so consistently good for over a decade straight, and also why they can sign Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto for over $1.1 billion and then say, yeah, I guess we'll take Tyler Glasnow for another $130 million. It's because of the system and base they already have in place, the system and base that they've built. The Dodgers have a foundation of talent, success, and winning, being a contender every year and still having a top farm system. The Red Sox have finished in last place 2 years in a row now and have missed the playoffs 4 of the last 5 seasons, finishing in last place in 3 of them. What in any reality does that make any sense for the Red Sox to just give Yamamoto $330 million? There's 2 reasons why that's stupid. Number 1, the obvious. You commit to a player for that many years and that much money, there's risk. That goes for anyone. Number 2, the Red Sox don't have a foundation of a consistent winning team. The Dodgers, at least on paper, have an organization that looks to be contending in 2024, 2025, and beyond. The Dodgers were a World Series favorite for the 2024 season before they even had a meeting with Shohei Ohtani, let alone before they signed him and then Yamamoto and everyone else. They don't need any of these guys. They're going to win anyway, but because of the fact that they have such a stable, consistent winning system in place, they can splurge a little more and take on those riskier contracts to add on to the greatness that they already have. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei, Yamamoto, Glasnow, all complementing the overall successful system the Dodgers were already running. John Henry isn't running a Red Sox franchise that has a consistent winning formula in place. They're not a team that you can look at and confidently believe will contend for 2024, 2025, and beyond. So why on earth would you go after Yamamoto? Even if he has the greatest pitching season of all time in the entire history of baseball, the Red Sox are still more or less going to be what they're going to be. They're still going to be about as bad as everyone thinks they're going to be. Or they'll win 95 games and shock people, or they'll be a 500 team, whatever. They're not in a position where committing so much money and years into one player will change much. Would it make them better if they had signed Yamamoto? Of course, just like it would make Oakland better, but it won't matter if the rest of the team and organization isn't built the way you prefer for now and the future. A lot of Red Sox fans seem to be begging for Jordan Montgomery, and at this point, they basically just want the Red Sox to sign him so they can sign someone. How dumb does that sound? I get it, you're deprived of an exciting free agent coming to Boston. But this is also exactly why fans don't run the team. Let's sign Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell, because the money and years you invest in him will result in winning and championships because you also have a good group of talent around him? No, because we suck and we need someone. Okay, well that doesn't get you to the promised land. You're wasting resources on something that's irrelevant to the spot you're currently in. So you don't need to overpay for any of these guys. Montgomery should go to a team that actually has a good trajectory to win for the next couple of years. He signs with Boston? Okay, great. Well now he's pitching for a last place team, so who cares? At least by that logic. The same logic that basically says, congratulations, the Red Sox are going to win 72 games instead of 70. Yay, if the team is going to be bad, why get anyone? You really think spending $500 million or whatever on a couple of players will fix everything? The Dodgers spend that money because they already built that foundation to complement. The Red Sox, among other teams, haven't. And some of the same people who may criticize John Henry for not signing Yamamoto are the same people who will get mad at Henry for signing him when his elbow blows out in 6 months. Hypothetically, that's the kind of thing that happens. Artie Moreno is one of the more trashed on owners in baseball. People think he should sell the team. Why? It's certainly not because he's cheap. He does exactly what fans would hope for. He gave Cardinals legend, 3-time MVP, future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols a big contract. He gave Mike Trout the biggest contract in baseball history at one point. He gave Anthony Rendon a big contract after an MVP caliber 2019 season. What's the issue? Oh, none of those have amounted to anything. Albert Pujols went from the best hitter in baseball to a slightly above average one the moment he put on an Angels uniform. Anthony Rendon never plays. When he does is terrible and doesn't even care about baseball. Mike Trout's been great, but the Angels haven't built a sustained winning team around him. So why keep Ohtani, who they also had? Okay, you give him $700 million. Great, fun. Now what? You still have to do what you've failed to do for the last decade, which is to build a good team. And if Moreno re-signs Ohtani, only for Ohtani to blow his arm out and become an average hitter, everyone will call him stupid for signing him. I'm not saying Artie Moreno deserves no criticism and has run the Angels well, because he obviously hasn't, and the front office hasn't figured things out. But he's done what is looked at as the right way of doing things, but the results make it look bad, which shows money doesn't equate to winning. It never does, at least not now. Sure, World Series winning teams can have some highly paid players that make the payroll bigger, but it's the foundation that got them to a point where they can spend that money and take that risk of a bigger commitment and investment. The biggest mistake on Moreno and the Angels' end is spending all that money without a team that looked like it can win now and in the future. Rendon is a disaster, and even if he was in his Nationals form, the Angels don't have a good overall team. They never built that foundation and base of a consistent winning formula. The Dodgers have, and that's why it's smart for them to sign Ohtani and Yamamoto and everyone, where if the Angels did that, or the Red Sox did that, it'd be the dumbest thing imaginable. Those teams have nothing to fall back on, no strong base to stabilize the inevitable failures that come. So it's just ridiculous to complain about certain teams like the Red Sox not signing someone or spending a lot of money. The Red Sox are going to be how they're going to be, and signing 1 or 2 or even 3 free agents won't immediately make you a playoff team. You're just asking them to sign these guys just for the sake of signing someone at this point. Baseball isn't unfair. Yes, there are bad owners who don't put as much love and care for the franchise that they own. But don't blame the Dodgers for anyone else's problems. Don't blame the Dodgers just because they're smarter than everyone. Don't blame the Dodgers because they've gotten themselves to a point where they can spend bigger, crazier, and riskier contracts. It's not on the Dodgers, and it's not on any of the owners on this specific issue. It's on the team as a whole to build a sustainable winning formula, one that doesn't feel like they have to rely on one free agent to change everything. Don't put all the blame on John Henry or Artie Moreno or any of those owners with the teams in the current situations that they're in. Of course they deserve some blame, but to act like if they just open their pockets and everything would turn into sunshine and rainbows is just pure fantasy. And hello, Artie Moreno literally did that and people hate him. John Henry isn't doing that right now and people hate him. It's almost like it's pretty clear only certain people have the ability to run a successful baseball organization. It's not about just spending money or just being cheap. It's about everything: scouting, drafting, trading, developing, and spending money when the time is right on the right player. Sometimes it will work out, other times it can become a disastrous contract. There's no guarantee with any of this, obviously, but that formula and being as good as they can on all of those fronts is something Andrew Friedman and the entire Dodger front office and higher-ups have done a tremendous job building. building exactly what the Red Sox and Angels don't have. The Dodgers, the Braves, the Astros, those kinds of teams. They didn't always spend 24/7, 365. They spent when the time was right, after the foundation was built. Sure, you'll have a team like the Rays who do have a strong system of pumping out talent and winning teams, but they barely spend. But they're also not as profitable as a franchise as the others I just mentioned, so that's a different conversation. But what the Dodgers are doing is great. It's fun. It creates excitement for Dodger fans and the eagerness of every other fan base to beat them. But it's not unfair that this is happening. Most teams could get in the same position the Dodgers are in. The Red Sox and Angels definitely could. They just haven't. Why? Because, well, it's the furthest thing from easy, obviously. As hard as it is, though, the Dodgers have been able to do it, to earn the ability to spend so much money and have the stronger foundation to take on those big contracts and risks. They're smart, perhaps the smartest run team in business and baseball, and maybe in all of sports. They're definitely up there, so don't blame the owners for everything. When it comes to players not getting what they deserve, blame the players for asking what they don't deserve. And when it comes to the Dodgers having all the fun in free agency, you gotta realize that they're able to do this because they're just smarter. Instead of complaining, look and see exactly what they're doing. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.